Ben, tell me about life at 24.
So 24, it wasn't bad. It was a corporate job. I came here originally, and I had a private gym back home. I had worked for the first job I ever had as a personal trainer in a corporate gym, though, and I remembered how it was. So coming to 24, I was pleasantly surprised at first because it was a little bit better than my old corporate training job. But still in the back of my mind, I always wanted to go private. But what happened was I started to get some success there. My boss was really helpful with growth and support. I met a lot of cool coworkers, made a lot of good friends there, and started to kind of almost get a little too comfortable. And the whole like going private thing kind of took a back seat because I was seeing some success, and they were, saying like dangling a couple things like maybe you get enough clients, sell enough, you can be an assistant fitness manager and then a fitness manager and like really start making good money. And so they, dangling carrots like that. And so it came to January. I'd been there for over a year. I was around the top trainer, and they decided to do an incentive. And they kind of had me almost like a locker room leader, not an official manager, but they like wanted me to lead by example, and they'd consult with me a little bit. And they asked like, what do you think will help us get more sales? And I was like, well, we have no incentive to hit your budgets. Every month we're supposed to sell a certain dollar amount as a personal training department. And I was like, well, there's no incentive for us. Like, you as managers get bonuses when we hit it, but as trainers, we just get a pat on the back. And so it was like some sort of incentive, whether it's cash or a prize or whatever, would help. So we landed on 150. So anyways, long story short, I won that incentive. Felt a little bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I worked really hard. I was there for like 12 to 14 hours a day all of January, and a lot of those hours I wasn't even clocked in. And I just ate that time, and I was fine with that. But the amount of pay that I got extra in January was shockingly underwhelming. I was finally, like for the first time, like really fully committing, and my paycheck, did it even double? No, it didn't even double. And plus I got $150. I made them 13 grand. They paid me less than 5 grand for a month. And that's when I kind of started losing motivation. And that was January. So February, March were they were low sales for everyone, but especially for me, just because I kind of ran out of steam. I didn't have any motivation, any reason to keep trying so hard because I was making so little and almost, essentially living paycheck to paycheck, like not struggling, but not really making enough to where that I felt like I could invest or put money away or do, fun trips. Also, it took so much time because I would have to be there pretty much all day, even though I wasn't getting paid for all those hours. And I was getting pretty fed up with it. And that's when, the quarantine hit. And all the gyms shut down, everything shut down. And that's when I, through basically having no other choice, went back to private training. Luckily, we had a full gym set up in our backyard, and I started with a couple clients there. And it kind of started off quick because I had my clients from 24, and I just had friends who needed a gym too. So it was kind of just a little kick in the tail that I needed. And but now that I don't work there anymore, I realize how much time I was wasting there because I'm working probably a third of the amount of time, and I'm making more money. And I set my own schedule. I work with only the clients I want to. I don't have to fill my whole day just to make enough. I can, some days I'll train a few hours, and I'm still making more, and I'm having fun. So, it's easy to get comfortable at those places, and that's kind of what they kind of bet on that. So like their trainers, you give them just enough incentive to sell for them, but they're making all the money and you're doing all the work. So that's how it was at 24.
And you mentioned, all right, so you took a shot in the wind, going from Florida, moving out here, getting to 24, becoming the top trainer. You started to get comfortable. I take it though, being comfortable at 24 wasn't the dream. You move to San Diego and you see all these fitness influencers, you see people doing these lifestyle businesses, right? For you, when you were at 24, maybe down in the dumps, but you were thinking about what the future might look like. what was the dream for you?
Yeah, that was that's a good point. Being a corporate trainer was never my dream, or being a manager was definitely never my dream. And honestly, for a while, I was kind of just coasting. Like, I didn't really, I guess, like, ideally, my dream would have been like to have, I mean, close to what I have now, just like a select few clients that I train, and because they pay me enough, I can kind of do what I want. But I thought that was so far out. Like, I thought I'd have to like become a famous like online influencer with like 100,000 followers, and then get like some clients to pay me like $1,000 a month for online training, and then I could just travel all around the world. But I have a client right now paying me $1,000 a month, and I'm not famous, so I kind of skipped that step, and it was a lot more reachable than I would have first thought. Okay, and I think it's just when you're stuck in one way, doing something else just seems so far out of reach.
Yes. Now tell me about that. Right, you are at 24, kind of in this rut, but you want to start your own thing, and then eventually you make that investment in yourself to work towards starting your own thing. What were some of those like maybe mental blockages that you had that were like really preventing you from putting yourself out there, from starting your own private training while you were at 24, that you were able to get past?
Yeah, so a couple of those things. I was worried because I was really appreciative. 24 was my first job in San Diego. It's the only job I applied for. I was pretty confident I was going to get it. But so Mario, my old manager, I was really grateful to him for helping me out. Like I said, he was really supportive all the way. So I was afraid of like burning that relationship and everyone else I worked with. I was afraid that if I started privately training, like they would hate me, or then maybe they'd come after me legally. And so I didn't think I could train privately and train at 24, or even I thought I would have to make a really severe split from 24, like hey, I quit, like middle finger, bye, and then go all the way to private training. With the quarantine, there was kind of a little kind of was the opportunity that I needed. But even with the transition, I've talked to my manager since, and we're all cool. He's really appreciative. I told him he was a great boss, and I was like, now we can maybe finally have a beer sometime, now that we're not boss employee relationship. So yeah, there's that, and just like the fear of failures inherent in anything. Trying something, failing at it, and then having to come back to your old job with your tail between your legs, like, hey, can I have a job? Or like having to, worst case scenario, move back home. I have this like cool life out in California, and then 2 years later I failed and then just came back home. Now living with parents. I was scared of that because my family's so far away. It's like they're not. It's me out here, so that was a little bit of a factor too. But it's just it's something you work through. That, and honestly, like 24 is a big social aspect. Just like met a lot of people there, made a lot of great connections. So I was worried about kind of losing that. But what I've realized is I've built such of a network, partly because of 24, but just through my own actions and friends and whatever. I have events where I can still be around a lot of people, still make new connections. Last weekend I went to an event and I met a new client there. So that was a big thing I was worried about, was losing that pipeline of clients. Because I will say, when I did do my private training back home, I kind of inherited like a big core base of clients from my business partner, like 30 or so. And I never really had to work on new client acquisition on my own. At 24, I was topping sales there and getting new clients, but that's with, that's hundreds and hundreds of people in and out every day. So that's, kind of, you just take your pick, so to speak. And so without having that huge pipeline of marketing, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to like get and maintain a solid client base, which I came to realize was also untrue.
So how are you doing that now? How are you getting clients after you started your private training? What were the things that enabled you to be able to continue to get clients now, and how are you getting clients now?
So mainly organically, through referrals. My friend, I'll be training someone and they'll tell their friend about it, and they're like, "Oh, that's so cool! Wait, it's just in his backyard, and oh my god, like that's a couple streets down for me." Like the client I was mentioning last weekend lives a few streets down. I'd met her at a party at her house. We were at an event on the beach, and she had heard, I don't know, I'm not sure through who, but she had heard about the gym I was running. She's like, "Wow, this is so close to my house. Like, I really need a trainer. Can we train?" And yeah, it was just simple. So, organically, word of mouth, just doing good work, getting the clients results, and just kind of naturally networking. Just, getting out there, meeting people. And now that I have this thing that I really like, am stoked about, training people. I have it in my backyard. I have a private studio. Like, it's something that I want people to come to. When people would ask me what I did when I worked at 24, it was like, oh yeah, I work at 24. Like, come by, like, and you'll have to sign like a year-long membership, and then you have to buy training, which also, oh hey, it's like $1,000 for like 2 months worth of training, or 1 month maybe. So it was always like kind of a high pressure sale. I mean, I didn't feel comfortable doing that with like friends, It's like now I can charge them less, still make more, and I'm excited about them coming to do it. I'm not like, oh yeah, I don't know, like come by sometime, I guess. It's like, yeah, come check it out. It's going to be awesome. Like, it's just so easy it's not selling, it just happens so effortlessly now because what I'm doing, I'm actually stoked about. And I think that just kind of, it comes through like naturally. I can tell. And, it's like they say sales are a transfer of enthusiasm. So it's like, I'm so enthusiastic about it. It makes them enthusiastic. Like, wow, I want to see like what's going on there. And then all my friends doing it, it just kind of naturally creates a little branch where like, oh, you train with him? Oh yeah. Like, I was in an event last night, and there was about 100, 200 people there. And like 4 or 5 of them were current clients of mine. And I just realized, like, wow, these kind of events are like how I meet clients now. Like, I don't do any marketing. Like, the most I'll do is like post, an Instagram post every month or so, and it's like fitnessy, but it's not like there's no ask, there's no like, hey, come train with me. But just naturally through posting stuff like that consistently, people reach out to me for training. And so eventually, once I want to scale more, yeah, it's like obviously. I'm gonna have to do actual like more directed marketing, like putting ads out, or even just posting more consistently. But as for right now, it's just through organic, my organic network, and just kind of living the lifestyle.
And to get to this point, now you mentioned like some of the fears were burning bridges with 24. Mm-hmm. Looking bad in front of friends, colleagues, clients, as well as I remember there was some like fear of judgment. There was a fear of failure.
Yeah.
Now, what were some of your biggest, like, once you dove into the self-development, dove into like, okay, we're going to build this private training brand of mine. What were like some of your biggest light bulb moments along the way that allowed you to get into this mind state that you're in right now and really create what you've created now? What were some of your biggest learnings along the way?
That's a good question. Well, I think being forced to do it, having my gym shut down, having the world the way it is, that kind of like, it was just kind of like flying by the seat of my pants. I just kind of was like, hey, yeah, y'all can, I guess, come train here. I called like 10 of my clients and like booked them that same night. And then all of a sudden, it's like a week later and I have a full schedule, and I just kind of realized it's like, oh, I'm like doing this like currently, like I can do this because I am doing this. And it's just like, it's just the doing. It's just, I never even tried. Like, I had that gym in my backyard, but I never tried with any of my clients to like, hey, come work out, or even my friends. And I was just realizing it's just the doing, just realizing I have all the components that I need. The only thing that's missing is the execution. So that was a big kind of light bulb moment. And I think also consulting with you, it was just helpful for like, I don't have to do like one or the other. You know what I mean? Because there's a little bit of time where I was considering going back to 24 for a little bit, and also maintaining my private base. But I was like, oh, I feel like I can't. And you just kind of like, there's no reason you can't do both. Now that's not the case anymore, but it's just realizing with like the paths or careers or whatever that you choose in life, it's like, yes, you want to focus, but it's like there's no mutual exclusiveness. Like just because you're doing one thing doesn't, disqualify you from doing another.
Yep.
So that was a big thing to me, because it's just like, it's like I'm either a private trainer or I work at 24. I'm either this or I'm either that. It can't be both.
Yep. Wait a minute. So you went from corporate trainer, and then one day deciding to call all of your clients, and you got 10 of them on. And I want you to tell this one to the camera. You got 10 of them. You got 10 of them on board in one day, and then you realized, oh, wait a minute. Now I have my own private training company with 10 people. Is that the case? Say that story again.
Yeah. So it was my gym had just closed, and it was kind of I could. You kind of have the sense that this is a moment of opportunity. It's like it's going to be a shifting point. It's like I'm either going to kick back and chill on unemployment, or I'm going to really grind. And I wasn't sure like how that was going to look. So I just like, all right, well, I have a gym. I have people that want to train with me. And it's like going through the list, calling all of them, texting them. And yeah, by the end of the night, I was up to like 7 or 10 clients on the schedule. And it was, and then after a couple of days, I had more. And then it was just, I just looked back on it, I was like, oh, well, here, I got it. Like, it was, it took some foundational work of making those connections and training them initially. But it was so quick, the shift, that I didn't think I realized it at first. So, yeah, it kind of, you could say an overnight success story.
Now, is there any reason why, even if someone's not a trainer, they want to become a trainer, or people who are a trainer somewhere but they want to have their own company, or someone who's in corporate and wants to start training people on the side, is there any reason why people can't take that principle of what you just did and reach out to their entire network and say, hey, I'm doing this, do you want to try training with me?
Yeah, absolutely not. Like, there's no reason, like I was saying earlier, just because you're doing one thing doesn't mean you can't do another. Like, if there's something you're interested in, you should absolutely pursue it. And it's not, sometimes you might think you don't have time or you don't have the ability, but those are all things that come after the fact. You just have to execute. And that's what I learned. It's like, just do it. You're not going to know the way. You never know the way. Like, would I have planned on a national pandemic? I think that's kind of out of my control. But was it a great opportunity for me? Yes. So, yeah, whatever it is, you're never going to know all the steps up front. But doing it is the first and most important step.
And I know something you told me early was like you wanted this lifestyle brand. And now, so tell me about tell me about your lifestyle now, some of the things that you've picked up on, some of the new things that you wanted to do and you're doing now, and how these things contribute to your training and how your training contributes to these things, and how like your lifestyle and your work are basically one thing now.
Yeah, so that's been what's really cool is the lifestyle that I have now is, I feel like it's under my control. When I was at 24, I was there so long, I was spending all my time, all my mental energy, that I couldn't really pursue much else than, maybe go out on the weekends, go to a bar, or maybe chill on the beach for a day. So now it's like, I've always had these interests. I used to ride dirt bikes back home. I took boxing when I was little. But when I was working at 24, I didn't have the time or really the money either. That was a big thing, to do any of those. Now, since the quarantine, I bought another dirt bike. So I've been riding that, which has been awesome. I've made some good connections with friends. Luckily, one of my neighbors rides, and I just was training in my backyard. Luckily, training in my gym, and I saw him riding by on his dirt bike. I was like, hey, where do I get one of those? So just being in my gym helped me get the dirt bike. And then obviously the money I'm making from having my private training, and also the time that I have free, because I can take any day off I want. I could take a whole week off if I wanted, because it's just all of my clients. I don't have a boss on my ass. I don't have whatever. And I'm finally taking up boxing again, and that's been really awesome. It's just a fun skill to work on. I'm never going to be like a golden glove. Like, I'm not trying to compete or anything, but it's just a fun skill, and it's good to know. You want to know how to protect yourself, and that's been really fun because it's making me develop a skill, but it's also kind of feeding back into my training. Like I did a boxing workout with one of my clients yesterday. Now I told him up front, I'm like, I'm not teaching you how to box. Like this, I'm just learning. So this is just purely for fitness. But it does help though, because there's almost no workout like boxing. So even if like I said, I'm not saying like told the guy, I'm like, hey, don't go try to fight someone because this is probably wrong, but it's going to be a great workout. So that's what's been really cool. And yeah, the whole lifestyle brand, it's just like I wanted to create a life where I'm doing what I want and it's all kind of synergistic. And now it kind of is, you know, like I was saying, like the event I went to yesterday, it was all my friends there, also all my clients. And it's like, which came first? Were they client or friends? I don't know. It's kind of even hard to tell now. It's just like so synced in and compatible that like everything I do feeds into everything else. It's like my clients, they'll tell me about a fun event and I'll go there and have fun. Or I'll go to an event and meet a new client. Or, you know, just everything just kind of feeds into itself. And so like I never feel like I'm doing the wrong thing because everything complements itself. You know, I'm riding bikes, I'm doing boxing, I'm hanging out with my friends, and it's all working towards a goal that I think right now I still don't have a clear vision of, but just kind of like I was saying earlier, you don't know all the steps up front, but just kind of doing it, committing. I know I'm making a lot of good connections, different people with different skills and unique traits that they bring to the table. And I know if I just keep at it, eventually I'm going to figure out exactly how it's all going to coalesce into like a really cool vision. But for now, I'm just going to focus on continuing to grow what I do. And then I just feel like naturally I'll take the next step, maybe do another program.
And I want to talk about that growth, give people some numbers here. Tell me about, like, if I went to you, you know, say in December of last year and said, like, you know, 6-figure trainer, how far away do you think that is? Versus now?
Yeah. If you, especially December was a slow month for me, but even on my best month, if you came to me at 24 and be like, think you can make 6 figures, I would just say no, straight up. Like, I don't think that'd ever be a goal. Like, I would have to, the amount of work I put in January was ridiculous. I've never worked so hard in my life. Now, trying to do that every single month forever is what I'd have to do to even get close. Or it would be like a 10-year thing, 5-year thing. Like, oh, move up the corporate ladder, like fitness manager, general manager, district manager. Then maybe it'd be a 6 figure. But I'd be like doing a corporate job, which is so far from what I want to do. So now, I was just running some numbers just the other day, and the goal I made was I wanted to keep it attainable. So I found sometimes I set too lofty goals, and that can be a little bit unmotivating. Not that it's impossible, but sometimes it's kind of hard for you to manifest the steps when you're so far away. Like if I try to like set a 6-figure goal at 24, it'd be like, what the hell? But now that I do, I mean, it is so within reach because, as I said, I'm working at, you know, a fraction of the amount of time, and I'm making more money. And right now, I'm on track to be at like 60 or 70K a year, and that's like a goal I said. You know, it's not crazy money, but it's good, and it's a start. And it looks like I'm going to be there a lot quicker than I realize, or even maybe exceed that. And that's, you know, I would say I don't even know if I'd have to double, maybe double what I'm doing now. But even what I'm doing now is so manageable as far as time, energy, and it's easier too because it's clients that I like and want and get good results. So it makes it more impactful, which creates more results, which creates more business for me because, you know, my business is run off results. So it's compared to 24, it's like within, like, I know I'll be there probably by next year, 2021 sometime.
And then when you're there making 6 figures by 2021, is your life, you're still gonna enjoy your lifestyle? Is it still, it's not gonna get too out of hand?
I imagine it's only gonna get better. You know, I'm gonna grow more, and you know, when I started privately here, because of the quarantine, times are weird, and we hadn't developed our pricing plan yet. I was charging them just 40. I was like, all right, just pay me 40, like just every session. It wasn't good, you know. Me and you hadn't worked on my payment setup yet. I got off track. What was I talking about?
Lifestyle, while having a good lifestyle.
Yeah. So as I'm getting more clients and getting more success, I was a little timid about pricing it. I was like, oh, $40. Now I'm charging average 55 to 60 a session. And so as I increase my numbers as far as clients I'm training, and that's going to increase my confidence to charge more. And it's also as you know, as my experience grows and as my name grows, it'll be a lot easier because I'll have that credibility and reputation behind my name, so that someone comes to me and I tell them, "Hey, a session is $80." They'll be like, "Okay, that makes sense." I mean, that's what some of the sessions at 24 cost $80. But the thing is, I saw half of that money, so back to 40. So yeah, as it grows and as it grows too, my revenue streams are going to multiply. You know, I'm going to develop online content, going to, which I've always wanted to do, but I find I was thinking about it the wrong way. I was thinking about it as personal training, and then also too, I was stuck in that that blockage of I can't do two things. Like I can't be a personal trainer and an online trainer. But now I've realized that you can do both. You don't have to stick to just one thing. I mean, humans are so multidimensional. No one is just one thing. So yeah, my lifestyle I feel like will be maybe even better. I plan on traveling more. I'm going to Hawaii soon. Going to take more dirt bike trips, maybe international dirt bike trips. I want to go riding on the beach in Baja, which is, I'll probably do that soon. So yeah, I think once I get to 6 figures, the lifestyle is going to be extremely manageable.
And when you dove into self-development, developing your business, what were some of the most impactful things, like developing your mission statement, your pitch to your clients, your pricing model, like some of those things? Like what were some really important assets along the roadmap of building that roadmap?
Yeah, so the impact statement, that was really huge because when you're just kind of working, you're doing what you do, you find niches or interests or, clients that you work well with. But unless you kind of cohesively put that all together, you don't really know exactly what your best strengths are or how to best apply yourself and where your energy should be most directed. So what was so great with the impact statement is it made me realize, it helped me to identify what I am good at, which is always what you're already doing, you don't have to overthink it. That was a huge thing for me. Is I was like, oh, I don't know, should I do this or do that? And then you're just like, well, who do you train with best now? And we listed a couple people, found the common traits, and then that's when we figured out, who I work best with, what kind of niche or skills that I have and can best apply. So that was really big in kind of giving myself direction, because as a trainer, there's a lot of different directions you can go. You can go kind of physical therapy, for older people. You can go, straight up bodybuilding, athletic, strength and conditioning. And those all have different client archetypes. And so really identifying which ones work best for you is the way that you're going to get the most success. And that's what the impact statement helped me do. And just kind of helped me just identify myself almost as a person, what what I'm about, what I care about, and, what I do with my life. So the impact statement was good. Then what we call them, the heroes? Champions. Yeah, the champions. That's like I was mentioning earlier. The champions are, the clients that you feel in a flow state with. It's not forced, and they get good results. That was a big thing for me because I knew there was clients that I preferred, but I never really thought about it I should. This is a key to my success is these people. There's a reason I feel so good training them. There's a reason they get such good results because they work the best with me. So if I can identify more people like that, that's how it's going to be most impactful. A, I'm going to impact their lives the best and create the most change in the world. And B, it's going to be the best for my business because, the better I train, the better it is for everyone. So that was really big. There was something else too. The superpower. Kind of talking about what I do and how I do it best. And we came up with some good keywords for I really identify adaptive, intuitive programming. Because I always, and it made me it helped me because I used to feel bad because I'm a guy who doesn't write a lot of stuff down. I kind of keep it all in head. workouts for myself, I never write them down. My programs, I don't write them down. My meal plans, I don't write them down. And that's always worked really well for me. And I would see some trainers like writing out, 6 months programs, all these meal plans. And I tried that on and off with some clients, but it never really seemed like it did much. I'll type out and send a workout to do for someone on their own, but I'm usually not I'll make a general framework, but I'm not gonna sit there and you're doing biceps on Tuesday and Thursday we're doing this. It's just kind of because you can't know. Because, maybe they had a soccer game, they hurt their leg on the day before they're supposed to do legs. I was like, oh, now your whole schedule's messed up. So what I realized was the programming that I do is intuitive and adaptive. And I do it because it works for me. And it works well with my clients. And I don't have to. Some trainers are better by the books, like written out. But it doesn't mean that I can't be good doing what I do. Just because they do one thing one way doesn't mean I have to do it too. And so realizing that was really cool too, because that was one thing that was kind of always in the back of my head too, like doing my own business. It's like, oh, well, I don't write enough stuff down. Like, I'm not like really a good trainer because I don't write their programs out. And the reality was it's all bullshit. Like, they come with me, they come work out with me 1, 2, 3 times a week, whatever it is. And then I can just give them some recommendations or shoot them a quick workout to do on their own. And then bam, that's their whole program. Like, it's done. It's honestly, it's easier for me, obviously, but for them too, it just feels a lot more organic and easy. Like it's a genuine human interaction. It's not, oh, you bought this, here's your sample program and a bunch of written out bullshit. Like we kind of did 24, and 24 really pushed that because they were all about the sale, so they want something tangible you can hand to somebody and like, hey, buy this. This is what you're buying. I mean, that was literally a technique. Nothing wrong with using sales technique, but I'm just saying it put so much pressure on me to be this like on paper by the books guy that it made me feel almost like I wasn't a good trainer or that I was missing a key component of training. And what I realized with you is that no, that's what makes me a good trainer is the way that I program, is the fluidity of it, because life is unpredictable. Just how I was talking about earlier, like no one could predict a national or global pandemic. No one could predict a lot of things going on right now. And on a much smaller scale, like I can't predict people's lives. Like maybe they go on a trip, or maybe they get a new job, get a new girlfriend. Factors change, and maybe the old program that I just spent 8 hours developing for them is no longer applicable. Now that's just 8 hours I lost, and 8 more hours I'm gonna have to spend, rather than just kind of doing it on the go, because that's how life works. It's constantly changing and adapting. It's you want to have a general direction, of course. But I think this over-analyzing would cause sometimes like analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. I'd sit there with my client list and be like, all right, I'm going to do her program. And I'd like spend 2 hours on it. And then I'd be exhausted by the end because it's like such focused mental energy. And then I get to I have like 10 more clients to do just that night for the program. And then I'm just like, dude, I can't do this. So it really helped me just kind of focus on what I'm good at and know that that's a strength and not a weakness. So that was really cool. And that applies to other aspects of not just training, but my life too. But that was a big eye opener.
And then one thing that you were doing, and I know a lot of trainers do this, is just like kind of default to cash payment on the day per session, right? And then, but then, so that's one time where it was kind of like just in the moment, right? Yeah. But then you moved to something that was a little bit more structured,
right?
But that ended up working better for you and your clients. Now tell me about what your pricing was at, like your pricing model before, and what you do for pricing now, and how that helps you and your clients.
Yeah, so I mean the pricing model at first there was no model. I was just like, I picked a number, $40 for an hour session that I thought was agreeable enough. Because like I said, average cost at 24 was like anywhere from 65 to like 85. So I was like, okay. Like, and even doing that, I had holdbacks. I was like, oh, it's not a full gym, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I set it at $40, and yeah, just had them pay me every time. So it wasn't like, oh, big scary contract. But that's not sustainable. You have to do all these little microtransactions every day. So what we developed with our pricing program was, it's still kind of fluid, but I have this kind of a more structured way so that I can, when someone comes to me, I can just spit it right out. I'm like, oh, hey, I want to try 3 times a week. Okay, $500. Bam, it's done. Rather than having to like, okay, we can come to me and like, yeah, I think it's like 40 or something. Because A, I mean, that's just undercharging. I'm not making enough at 40. And B, it's harder on them because they have to pay every time. It's harder on me because I have to get all these little microtransactions. And then it's hard to like calculate how much I'm actually making. And also, when you pay up front for something, you're a lot more likely to do it. So when you pay a month in advance for, 12 sessions in a month, 3 times a week, it's a lot less likely you're going to miss those, knowing that, you're not going to get them back. Rather than when you're paying just every day, it's like, oh, I'm not going to come today. And I mean, it would be kind of hard for me to like send them a Venmo charge, like, hey, $40, you missed your session. But it's a lot easier. Not that I want to take the money without training them, but it's just it secures my income and it gives accountability to them. So it works great for both of us. And yeah, it's just doing that. It makes it a lot easier to have new clients and to manage my budget and make projections as far as like future income and things I want to buy, trips I want to take. So it just helps, and I can focus on the important part of training instead of having to like come up with a new pricing plan for every single client, which was kind of what I was doing until we structured it better.
So I think there's a lot of people who are they might be in the health and wellness industry, they might even not be, but they're stuck in a rut. They're doing what they know, and they do have this like vision of better, right? But they just don't know what steps to take. Don't know how to get started. Like, what would you tell someone who is like in that position, right? They might be at a gym, they might be in corporate, but they just want to live bigger, better, have their own brand. Like, if you had to give 3 pieces of advice or any amount of advice, like what would you tell that person?
So someone wanting to make a shift.
Someone who wants to make a shift.
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing is just honestly trust your gut. It sounds kind of cliche, but you'll find that your first thought or that little voice in the back of your head is usually right. So whether you call that, manifesting or the universe or whatever it is, there's something about it. If you just trust yourself, you'll generally find the right step. So whatever you're thinking about, that's probably what you should do. If you are in corporate and you want to be a personal trainer, just find one friend. Start with a friend. Be like, hey, let me train you. Like, let's work out. I work out. I know you want to work out. Let's do it. That's how I started. I started with one lady in her house. I'd worked out for a while. I hadn't even been certified yet, but I had no idea how I was gonna, what I was gonna do. So, but I was just like, I know I want to train someone. She wants to train. So that's it. Just find the first person. Find the first step, and you don't have to quit everything. Like, it doesn't have to be this huge dramatic like life shift. Like, you don't have to go like quit everything and like make all this time. Just find the easy first step. And like I said, you generally will always know it. Whether it's contacting someone or going somewhere or just, getting a certification. Like, all these things are very easily done, and it's not going to take over the rest of your life. Another thing, just trusting your gut and just also reaching out to a professional like you that helps you kind of focus your vision and give you actionable steps. If that's what you're missing, is you don't know the steps. Sometimes a program can help you focus those, or just advice from someone already doing it. Just say like, hey, you've been training for 2 years. Like, how'd you get your first client, or what did you do? And you'll often find like, because there's the old saying like nothing new under the sun. Like, people have walked this track before. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Not that you should copy everyone's path, but just find out how they did it, and it takes a lot of the guessing and workout for you. Because the first steps are sometimes the hardest to do, more just because of the mental blocks, kind of like I was talking about earlier. But you'll find after that first step, as long as you keep going, it builds momentum. So yeah, I would say like, trust your gut, reach out, whether it's like a business professional, someone that helps you develop ideas, or if it's someone in the field or doing whatever it is that you're interested in. Because you don't have to come up with a whole new process every time. And I think that'd be it. And yeah, just don't overthink it. You'll find the answers. You don't analysis paralysis stops us all from doing achieving a lot. So just go with your dream, and you'll figure it out along the way, as what I've generally found.